Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today I am taking you guys along on a reading vlog with me, and it's not just any reading vlog. If you guys have seen, I did a New Year's book tag, that link is above me now if you haven't seen it, but in that book tag I mentioned 5 books that I really need to read this year, and one of those is The Strawberry Thief by Joanne Harris. This book has a story behind it because I picked this book up years ago without realising, and with no hint within these pages to tell me this is part of a series. And not only is it part of a series, it is the 4th and final book in a series. So there are 3 books before this book. It's actually part of the famous Chocolat series by Joanne Harris. Now, Chocolat, I know. I've seen the film. I know it's a famous book. Did not realise this was part of that series. Didn't even know Chocolat was a series. But I digress. In this vlog, I'm going to read this Joanne Harris series, and I'll take you guys along with me. The difference being, as it is Plastic Free July, and if you're not new here, you'll know I try to dedicate my channel to all things plastic free in July. I have joined my local library here in Abergavenny, and so I'm going to borrow the first 3 books from the library to read this series. I'll take you guys along for the ride with me. I will read you guys the blurb of each book as I borrow it, and I will let you know my review of that book when I have finished it. We're finally going to correct the wrong that was done to me and read this bloomin' series. Before I take you guys with me to the library, don't forget, if you like what you see, to subscribe to this channel. Your continued support means a lot, so thank you guys so much. To join my local library, all I did was type in on an internet web browser Abergavenny Library Join, which took me to the government website to join a local library. I have joined online, and I've already reserved Chocolat, which is the first book in this series. So I'm going to pick that up on Thursday. I'll take you guys to the library with me and we'll start this journey. I am determined this series will be read this year. We're back home, and I've got the book. This is Chocolat by Joanne Harris. This is the first book in the Chocolat series. Let me read you guys the blurb. When an exotic stranger, Vianne Rocher, arrives in the French village of Lansquenet, apologies for all my pronunciation, and opens a chocolate boutique directly opposite the church, Father Reynard denounces her as a serious moral danger to his flock, especially as it is the beginning of Lent, the traditional season of self-denial. As passions flare and the conflict escalates, the whole community takes sides. Can the solemnity of the church compare with the sinful pleasure of a chocolate truffle? This has so many great reviews. We have the Daily Telegraph, sensuous and thought-provoking, subtle and brilliant, independent, moody and atmospheric, a richly textured tale, New Yorker, Harris writes with verve and charm, serious delight, and The Observer, mouth-watering, a feel-good book of the first order, one to curl up with, to luxuriate in, a celebration of pleasure, of love, of tolerance. Read it. And then inside there are 4 pages of reviews. I'm excited to read this. And library books, look, it's in a nice cover, it's protected, like, it's good quality. They keep their books really well. So I'll take you guys along as I read this and let you know any quotes that pop out for me. I'll review it at the end. I have already ordered the next 2 books in the series because this one had to come from Monmouth, which is a town not far from Abergavenny, but the next 2 books weren't available with Monmouthshire Council. They didn't have it, but the good thing about a library is they can order it in from any library in the country apparently. So the next 2 books are actually coming from Newport, so by the time I finish this one I'm hoping they might be in, or they'll be in not long after, so I can read those 2. Matt is also reading this series at the same time as me because we both want to read The Strawberry Thief from the start of this video, but let's read this one first. Hi everyone, I have a few quotes from Chocolat by Joanne Harris, the book I'm currently reading. The first is page 25. Sheep are not docile, pleasant creatures of the pastoral idyll. Any countryman will tell you that. They are sly, occasionally vicious, pathologically stupid. I just thought that was really funny, I don't know why. We then have page 89. He is the kind of man who breaks biscuits in 2 and saves the other half for later. This is about Gwillem, who has the dog Charlie. Oh my god, the dog Charlie is slowly dying and Gwillem is just such a lovely owner, and I thought that was a really nice way to describe them as a person in one sentence. Very Pratchett-esque with the showing not telling, and showing you by the person's actions instead of telling you they're a nice person. Page 100. My sin is that of pettiness, mon père. For this reason God is silent in his house. I know it, but I do not know how to cure the ill. I have increased the austerity of my Lenten fast, choosing to continue even on the days when a relaxation is permitted. Today, for instance, I poured my Sunday libation into the hydrangeas and felt a definite lifting of the spirit. For now, water and coffee will be the only accompaniment to my meals, the coffee to be taken black and sugarless to enhance the bitter taste. Today I had a carrot salad with olives, roots and berries in the wild wilderness. True, I feel a little lightheaded now, but the sensation is not unpleasant. I feel a prick of guilt at the thought that even my deprivation gives me pleasure, and I resolve to place myself in the path of temptation. In this book we have Reynard, who is the priest or vicar of the local church, and we have our main character, Anne Vianne Rocha, and the priest hates her because she's not religious, doesn't go to church, and for every person in the town who doesn't do exactly what Reynard thinks they should do, he's automatically blaming her. But his thought processes are getting more and more sort of drastic, and the fact that he's Lenting like harder and harder, he's basically starving himself slowly, and it feels like he's hallucinating. And it's really interesting in this book because we always see from Vianne or Reynard's point of view, and they can look at the same thing but describe it in a totally different way. And I guess it means that depending on who you agree with is how you would see the other. So for me, I'm on Vianne's side. So when you read Reynolds, he just sees the dark and the awfulness in the world. But then if you read Vienne's chapters, it's like that thing isn't there. So it's like he's hallucinating rubbish where there isn't any rubbish. And it's really fascinating to show that mental decline in this book and the comparative nature of the 2 points of view. It's really interesting. I am very much enjoying this book so far. Page 113. My son's a gifted boy. He knows what he owes his parents. This is Caroline talking to about their son. Oh, kids don't owe their parents anything. I really hate the idea that because your parents raise you, you owe them, and that means that you have no choice, you have to pay for a care home, all these kind of things. Obviously, that's a personal decision, and I would obviously help my mum. But at the same time, it's not an obligation, and it feels like parents have been told this has to happen when in fact the kid has no choice in being alive. That was the parents' choice. The parents wanted a child. They wanted that kid who's now an adult. In this case, they're still a child, but if you've chosen to have them, then it's not, you know, their job to fulfill your dreams for them. Like, their dream was to have the child. They've done that. So yeah, I just, bad mummy, bad mummy. On page 160, we have a Vienne chapter, and this is after we've had a Reynolds chapter about the same area, and this is where I said earlier about the example of rubbish. Reynolds sees a load of rubbish in this area next to the travellers' boats, and Vienne goes down there and just says how pretty it is and how well kept and maintained everything is. So it's just interesting seeing that comparison. On page 173, we find out about Armande being ill, and she's diabetic and elderly, but her family keep trying to stop her from living how she wants, and Armande is kind of in control of her sugar levels, but also is very rebellious and wants to just enjoy the last part of her life. And it's just quite interesting seeing the different reactions to the care from the family, because the family aren't exactly nice to her either. So it's just quite interesting seeing that relationship unfold. That's it for my update. I will let you know I have under 100 pages left of this book, so I feel my next installment will be me finishing this book, so I'll see you then. But I'm enjoying it so far. The characters are very meaningful, and I really like the characters, so yeah, it's a good read. I'll see you in a bit. I have finished reading Chocolat, which is the first book by Joanne Harris in the Chocolat series, and it was good. It wasn't a 5-star read for me. It was a very easy, chilled out read. So I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. It was very enjoyable, it was very well written, it had great characterization, it had good representation as well. It does go into domestic abuse, both physical and mental, and it goes a lot into religion. It actually really reminded me of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is a French story, and it reminds me of Esmeralda, who is our main female character in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and she is a traveller, and the head of the church, I believe he's called Frollo. My brain wants to say Frodo, entirely different. Frollo has it in for her, sort of like our priest in Chocolat as well. So it really was reminiscent for me of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which was quite interesting. But yes, a 3.5 star read out of 5 stars. I have already ordered the next 2 books in the series from the library because I live in quite a small town, so the library can't stock everything in. But what is good about the library is it can order those in. So it's ordered those in from Newport, and I will get a message as soon as those are in so we can read the next ones, which I am really happy and excited for. The first one did feel like a mini holiday in France because of all the delicious sounding chocolate and just the small town sort of vibe to it. The characters, I love them all. Oh my god, the dog. love between the guy and his dog is just so wonderful. I believe it was Gwillem. Was it Gwillem and his dog? I'm terrible with names, but I'll get back to you guys when the next 2 books come in at the library, and we'll go and collect those. And then we'll continue on this Joanne Harris journey. I'm happy it started. We are going to get to the Strawberry Thief this year. Hi everyone, they finally come. The next 2 Joanne Harris books have arrived in my local library, so I've got them both. They're quite chunky compared to the first one. They're both over 500 pages, I think just under 6 on both accounts pretty much. But this is book 2 of the Joanne Harris Chocolat series, which is the Lollipop Shoes, and then book 3, which is Peaches for Monsieur le Cure. So I'll be reading this one first, but before I can read that, I have to finish A Hatful of Sky by Terry Pratchett, which is my current read, but I'm nearly done, and it's one of Pratchett's middle grade books, so it won't take me long to finish that. But after this, I'll be reading The Lollipop Shoes by Joanne Harris, book 2 of the Chocolat series. We're so close. I'm nearly halfway through getting to the book I've owned for way too long. Let me read you guys the blurb of this one. Who died, I said, or is it a secret? My mother, Vianne Rocha. Seeking refuge and anonymity. Anonymity? No. Seeking refuge and anonymity in the cobbled streets of Montmartre, Jan and her 2 daughters live peacefully, if not happily, above their little chocolate shop. Nothing unusual marks them out. No red sachets hang by the door. The wind has stopped, at least for a while. Then into their lives blows Zosie de l'Alba, the lady with the lollipop shoes, ruthless, devious, and seductive. With everything she loves at stake, Jan must face a difficult choice: to flee, as she has done so many times before, or to confront her most dangerous enemy, herself. This has loads of reviews on the back. Chocolat was a hard act to follow, but Harris has managed it in style. That's from the Daily Express. This is Harris's best novel to date by Financial Times. A delicious urban fairy tale where killer shoes and Aztec myths battle it out with true love and the seductive power of chocolate. And that's also the Daily Mail. Whoa! And then on the front, the Times says, vastly enjoyable, utterly gripping. Did that really say my mother, Vianne Rocha? Is Vianne dead? She's not dead at the end of Chocolat. I'm intrigued just because of that bit, but what? I mean, the first chapter is called, like the first section is called Death. That doesn't bode well. Oh, but it's got a cat. There's a cat. Okay, I will stop blabbering. I'm going to finish reading A Hatful of Sky, and then I'll take you guys along with me as I read The Lollipop Shoes. And then we'll go straight on to this one. I have until the 15th of May to read them both, and it's now the 25th of April. So I've got to get a wiggle on, so I'll take you with me. Let's get started. Hello, so I thought I would drop in with a bit of an update because I actually have about 170 pages left and a few things have gone through my head whilst reading this so far. One is that when I first started it, I thought I picked up the wrong book in the series. I thought this is number 3, but it's not. I have triple checked. This is definitely book 2. It just felt jarring at first. Now I've got 170 pages to go. I am hooked and can't put it down, but it did take until about this point for me to be hooked. The other thing I wanted to mention is it hits so close to home for me, which makes it quite hard to read, but in a good way, as in it's written really well and it just hits far too many of my life triggers in this book. But that is a good thing. It is written well, it's just hard to read. I think I've started to get hooked because I can see light at the end of the tunnel, which I really hope there is. But then I've just read a chapter where the light is going to be distinguished. I'm like, no, I just want them to be happy, which means it's good. It is definitely good. As I said, it is a lot chunkier than the first Chocolat book, but I'm enjoying it. I've got 170 pages left. I'll catch up with you guys probably at the end. Update time, I have finished the Lollipop Shoes, which is the second book in the Chocolat series by Joanne Harris. Matt has started it, which is why it has a bookmark in there. But I enjoyed this. I actually liked it more than Chocolat. It is a lot darker. The start of it I found confusing, as I've already said. It's 3 points of view and I was getting them a little confused, but then the last 150, 200 pages or so, I couldn't put it down. I gave this 4 stars out of 5. I believe for Chocolat I gave it 3, so I did like it more than Chocolat. It was really tense for me, like as I said, it was triggering. Very good, slow to begin with, and it takes a while to sort of get going, but I did enjoy it, so 4 stars, which now means we're on to book 3, which is the second one that I borrowed from the library. I have actually been back to the library and extended these. So this one I finished in time, but Matt hasn't. So this is extended. And I extended this one because I believe I'd only just started it when the time to take them back would be. So usually borrowing from the library, I personally would only get 1 book at a time. But as you guys know, I got 2 because it was coming from Newport. So I renewed them. You can also renew library books online as well, but I wasn't sure with these ones because they're from Newport, but the guy at the library said he thinks I should be able to, so if I need to do that again for Matt, because I'm going to finish this one before this one runs out of time, but I'll test it and let you guys know if I can do that online. Let me read you guys the blurb for the 3rd book in the Chocolat series, which is Peaches for Monsieur le Cure. Now, le Cure is I believe is the Reverend Vicar from the Chocolat, so from the first book in the series. I'll read your blurb. It isn't often you receive a letter from the dead. When Vianne Rocha receives a letter from beyond the grave, she allows the wind to blow her back to the village in southwest France where, 8 years ago, she opened up a chocolate shop. But Lansquenet is different now. Women veiled in black, the scent of spices and peppermint tea, and on the bank of the River Thames, facing the church, a minaret. Minaret? Nor is it only the incomers from Northern Africa that have brought change. Father Reynard, Vianne's erstwhile adversary, is disgraced and under threat. Could it be that Vianne is the only one who can save him now? So this one feels like, so I've already started it because I'm naughty, this one feels like it's going back to Chocolat a bit. It's a lot more relaxing, a lot less tense than this one. I will say at the beginning of this, I found the mention of the hijab from Vianne's point of view a bit strange because it's mentioned in this one, but it's mentioned from her partner in this one who you expect to be racist. I didn't expect it from Vianne, but then as you go on, she's not actually racist, so it's okay. But it is interesting. I do have a quote saved from this. On page 160. At 9 o'clock, Reynard arrived. 9 o'clock precisely, as if he had been waiting for a socially acceptable time to call. I mean, I'm glad I'm not the only one who does that. But yeah, this is the 3rd book in the Joanne Harris Chocolat series. I am enjoying it so far, so let's continue reading. I'm already up to page 228. It is another hefty one, so it's over 500 pages long. But as I said, it seems so far a lot less tense than this one, a lot more like Chocolat. They're all 4 years apart. We're revisiting some characters from the first book, all aged a bit, as well as quite a lot of new characters who've moved to the village. Let's continue reading. Hi everyone, dropping in for an update of the third book in the Chocolat series, Peaches for Monsieur Le Cure. I hadn't realised that Le Cure is the priest from Chocolat. It is Reynald, the priest, so that's interesting. In this one, Vienne returns to Lansquenet, which is nice to return to the old characters. Like with the second, I wasn't too sure on this to begin with, but I have about 170 pages left now, I believe I'm at. And now I'm into it and enjoying it, and there is stuff happening. So I think so far the common trend with definitely book 2 and 3 is just that they're quite long, which isn't bad because they are very nice to read and enjoyable. They're just very relaxed. But I don't get hooked to them until around the 200 pages left part, but things are starting to heat up now. I do have one bit I wanted to tell you guys about. Oh, Josephine goes to confess to Reynald, and this is something that you want to know what's happening with. This is one of the mysteries, which I now do know the answer to, but on page 233, which is the next Reynald chapter after Josephine confesses, and it begins with, well, of course, I can't tell you what she said. Confession, be it official or not, is a secret that cannot be betrayed. I was like, damn it, betray that secret, I want to know. Which is a good sign. So I am enjoying it now. I'm not far, I don't have that long left, so I'm hoping to actually finish this probably in the next 2-3 days, to be honest. After this, I do have a book club book to read, which I'll show you when I do my overall review of this. And then we are finally on to the fourth and final book in the Chocolat series, which is The Strawberry Thief, which is the one I already own. So that would be it for me borrowing from the library. However, since starting to film this, I have been into Bookish, which is one of my local independent bookshops, and Owen, who works there, showed me their board. They have like a board of the top favourite books selling or coming in at the moment, and guess what? She's written another one, but it is a prequel to Chocolat, so I guess I'll have to borrow that from the library at some point too, whether or not that's in this video. Depends when that comes out, but for now, I need to finish this one. Then I've finished the first of 3 books which I've borrowed from the local library, and I'll be on to The Strawberry Thief, which is the one I've had in my collection for years, which is the whole reason we started this journey. So I'll drop back in with you guys probably when I finish this book. I finished it. We have now finished Peaches for Monsieur Le Cure by Joanne Harris, which is the 3rd book in the Chocolat series. This is the last one to borrow from the library because I already have The Strawberry Thief, which is the 4th one. I shall know from the start of this video. Perfect. Matt is actually currently reading this one, hence why it still has bookmarking. But I finished the 3rd book. I'll let you guys know my thoughts. I actually have 2 or 3 quotes. Let me read those to you first. Page 335. I nodded. It's better that way. Our family could be anyone. It's not about birth, my man says. It's about how you feel for someone else. So, even I could be family. I smiled at her. You already are. I just found that really heartwarming, like you can make your own family. Page 439. Now that Pierre Henry is in charge, confession is a weekly event, timed to coincide with services. Some of the old people miss Reynard. People like Henriette Moisson and Charles Levi, who rarely speak to anyone otherwise. To them, he is more more than just a priest. He is a friend, a confidant. All of my jobbing was the same to the people of Les Moreaux, and perhaps in my way I was too in the days of the old chocolaterie. But to whom do we turn when we need to confess? Who is there to listen to me? I thought that was just very truthful and honest, because strong people often have a lot of people leaning on them but don't necessarily have anyone else to lean on. So I really liked that. That is the end of this one. I gave it 3.75 stars out of 5. It was okay. Again, the start felt quite slow and then I couldn't put it down for maybe the last 150 pages. I don't know. It was still good. I think so far with this series, I would say that it's a good series and I'm enjoying reading them. They're very easy reads, definitely good holiday reads. They're just not ones I think that I would need to keep in my collection after reading, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I found that it wasn't as tense as the second book, but also not as relaxing as the first. But it does do a big push on some of the wrongs of the world, which I did appreciate, particularly regarding racism, religion and sexism. So I enjoyed its take on those. But yeah, 3.75 stars. Now, before I can read the last book, The Strawberry Thief, the whole reason for this vlog, I do actually have a book club read to read, and that is Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Toshimiura. This is the book club read for me this month, so I'm halfway through. I'm going to finish reading this, and then we finally get to read The Strawberry Thief, the book that has been on my shelf for so many years. I'll be back to you guys once I finish this to read you guys the blurb of the last Joanne Harris book. Good morning everyone, I have finished Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Toshimiura. I gave it 3 stars. It's okay, but I felt like the translation work was not the best. There was a lot of filler words used which really weren't needed, but I finished it and I have already started the final book of this vlog, The Strawberry Thief by Joanne Harris. The whole reason that I have been reading the Chocolat series in order and borrowing the 3 previous books from the library, I have started it. I will read you guys the blurb, but I'm actually going to read it to you from a holiday cottage because me and Matt are now married. So today we are going to St. David's, which is on the west coast of Wales, for our mini moon. We call it a mini moon because we would like to take 2 weeks off in one go for an actual honeymoon. Whether or not we go anywhere or stay in the UK or go abroad is entirely different. We just would like to do 2 weeks in one go. So we're going to have a mini moon. We're going away for a week and I will be finishing The Strawberry Thief. So I'll take you guys on our mini moon with us whilst I finish this book, but I'll read you guys the blurb when we get to the holiday cottage and I might show you around as well. But I also wanted to share with you the other 2 books I'm taking On our mini moon, yes, I think I'm being a bit optimistic, but you never know. If it rains a lot, we might be reading a lot. We do read every morning and every night, just in case. Better safe than sorry. So I'm taking The Strawberry Thief by Joanne Harris. I'm also taking The Split by Laura Kay, which is a book that I got from Gay on Y in Hay on Y, which I actually think, yeah, the bookmark just fell out, so that is the Gay on Y. And I'm also taking my first Brandon Sanderson read, which is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Matt says this is supposed to be a short story by Brandon Sanderson. Gonna read this one. I think it's a good mix because they're all fast-paced reads. I'm already nearly halfway through The Strawberry Thief. So Brandon Sanderson, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, The Split by Laura Kay, and my current read, The Strawberry Thief by Joanne Harris. I am liking it so far. As you see, I am almost halfway through. But yeah, I will catch up with you guys when we get to Holiday Cottage and read you the blurb. I have just put in the bath what I call the needy plants. These are plants that regularly ask for water almost daily in some of the cases. This one did look super healthy, and I kid you not, we went away 3 nights, so 4 days, for our wedding, and this is what I came back to. So this time, for our mini moon, since we're away for a week, they are going in the plant bath. That one was okay, but was thirsty when I got back, as was that one and as was this one. So the 4 needy buggers in my life, we're going to have a jolly little holiday in the bath. Alright, we have made it to our mini moon in St. David's, and hey, look at this gorgeous book bag that our seamstress Lucy Simmons made us. It's so cute, and it's made out of material from my dress. This is the silk, which was for the under shorter dress, and this is the lace that was all over the skirt and also a bit on the underdress. But now that we are here, I will read you guys the blurb for the 4th book and the final book in the Joanne Harris Chocolat series that I'm definitely going to finish whilst we're here. Let me read you guys the blurb for this. Faith, secrets, magic. What will the wind blow in today? Vienne Rocha has settled down. Lansquenets returns. The place that once rejected her has finally become her home. With Rosette, her youngest child, she runs her chocolate shop in the square, talks to her friends on the river, is part of the community. Even Reynard the priest has become a friend. But when old Narcissus the florist dies, leaving a parcel of land to Rosette and a written confession to Reynard, the life of the sleepy village is once more thrown into disarray. And when a mysterious new shop with a strange appeal of its own opens, it heralds a change, a confrontation, a turbulence, even perhaps a murder. I am really enjoying this one so far. It sort of feels more like the original Chocolat, so book number 1, than books 2 and 3 did. 2 I liked near the end, but I found it was a bit slow to begin with and a bit long. And then the 3rd I also felt just sort of went on a bit, and there didn't seem, apart from Reynard's story, which at the end becomes really good again, so the last 200 or so pages, but before that didn't feel like much, whereas this one has just jumped straight in. It is a lot shorter, more the length of the first book, so I have been enjoying it. Already in this one, it goes back to book 2 with a lot of mentions of Zosie. It also goes back to book 1 with the river folk, and it's nice seeing the Marauds and Lansquenets communities vibing a lot more together in this one. As I promised, I'll show you guys where we're staying for our mini moon, and then I'm going to read some more of this because I think I'm going to finish it either today or tomorrow. This is our bedroom. Ignore the stand, that was me talking to you earlier. It also has another bedroom with Matt's feet. We have the bathroom, which has a clawfoot bath. I'm so going to use that. Actually, I think my favourite spot is the hallway. Has anyone else got a thing for really bright hallways? and cute stairs, because I definitely do. And in here we have the kitchen. It is just a cute cottage here in St. David's, which is a seaside resort. There's our surfboards. And then we have the sitting room, which I like. That doesn't really do much. Window seat. That is going to be used. Yeah. I'll catch up with you guys when I'm reading some of my book. Hey everyone, we are back from our mini moon in St. David's on the west coast of Wales, and I finished the last book for this vlog on our holiday. I managed to finish The Strawberry Thief by Joanne Harris, which was the whole reason for this vlog. The book that I bought thinking it was a standalone, and it was not. In this video I have read Chocolat, I have read The Lollipop Shoes and Peaches for Monsieur le Cure. And this is the final one in that series, The Strawberry Thief. So I finished this on holiday. I did also finish the other two books that I took on holiday, which I am impressed with myself for, which was Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson, which is my first ever Brandon Sanderson read, and I gave this 5 stars. And I also read The Split by Laura Kay. This is the first book I've read by this author. I gave it 3 stars. It's a standard LGBTQ plus romance. It's very nice, has a cat called Malcolm in, just quite standard. So I give that 3 stars. What did I give The Strawberry Thief? The whole reason for this vlog. First of all, I do have a quote for you guys from this. On page 151, there's something about Morgan that makes me feel I'm not a freak. As if she doesn't mind those things that make other people stare, or that Jolene Drow and Caro Claremont lower their voices when they talk about me. My mum thinks I don't notice those things. She thinks I don't know how different I am. She thinks that if I'm quiet and good and never use my shadow voice, then maybe I'll be like the others one day, instead of a little girl made of snow. But when I was with Morgan yesterday, I didn't feel different at all. I knew Morgan wouldn't mind if I spoke to her in my shadow voice, or if she saw Bam in the mirrors, or even if there was an accident. She wouldn't be surprised if she knew why we had come to Lansquenet and why my man is sometimes afraid. This is the tattoo artist who has moved to Lansquenet. I just really like her, and I love Rosette's relationship with her in this book. But as for my overall review of this one follows Rosette, Vienne's youngest daughter, and I really love her as a character. I love the representation as well. It's about one of the characters from Chocolat, the very first book, who passes away and leaves the woods to Rosette. Something I have enjoyed about this series is that all of the books link. So in this book we get a final character arc for Monsieur le Cure, for Reynard the priest, which was really satisfying, and you also get a sort of full character arc loop for Vienne as well, and a darker side of Vienne in this book, which I did enjoy. I also appreciated how this one is more like the size of Chocolat. It feels like going back to Chocolat. It's more cozy, it's faster paced than the previous two, the second and third in the series. I do think that the characters and the stories that Joanne Harris tells work better in this size book than the larger ones. I liked it. I gave this 4 stars out of 5, so that means for the Chocolat series by Joanne Harris, just to recap, this is what I gave each book in that series. Chocolat I gave 3.5 stars out of 5. The Lollipop Shoes I gave 4 stars out of 5. Peaches for Monsieur le Cure I gave 3.75 out of 5. And the Strawberry Thief I have given 4 stars out of 5. Pretty decent scores throughout. It's not a series I'm going to keep, though I think I would be interested in borrowing the new release that's coming from Joanne Harris, which is a prequel to Chocolat, from the library. I don't think I'd want to keep it in my collection, but I would recommend reading it. If you're looking for an easy, light holiday read, then this is a good series for that. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I post your bookish pictures as well as more writing tips and unboxings on there. Do let me know if you enjoyed this style of video. It was quite fun to make. I do have another series that I would love to read this year, so I'm going to start reading that. I'm going to start to read that in this format, but do let me know what you think. Happy reading, guys. Bye.